The World Food Programme has demanded Yemen's rebel Houthi movement stops diverting desperately needed food aid from people in areas under its control. A survey by the United Nations agency said people in the capital, Sanaa, had not received rations to which they were entitled. The WFP said lorries were illegally removing food from distribution areas, with rations sold on the open market, given to those not entitled to it. There was no response from the Houthis, but they have denied diverting aid. The United Nations says some 20 million Yemenis are food insecure, and that 10 million of them do not know how they will obtain their next meal. Yemen has been devastated by a conflict that escalated in 2015, when a Saudi-led coalition intervened after the Houthis seized control of much of the west of the country and forced President Mansur Hadi to flee abroad. At least 800 civilians have been killed and 700 injured in the fighting, according to the United Nations. Thousands more civilians have died from preventable causes, including malnutrition, disease and poor health. The WFP said the misappropriation of aid came to light in a review conducted in recent months, prompted by an increasing number of reports of humanitarian food for sale on the open market in Sanaa. Checks unearthed fraud being perpetrated by at least one local partner organization tasked with handling and distributing food assistance. According to the agency, the local organization is affiliated with the Houthi-run Education Ministry. This conduct amounts to the stealing of food from the mouths of hungry people, said WFP Executive Director David Beasley in a statement. At a time when children are dying in Yemen because they have not enough food to eat, that is an outrage. This criminal behavior must stop immediately. The WFP said its monitors had amassed photographic and other evidence of lorries illicitly removing food from designated food distribution centers. They also found that the selection of beneficiaries was being manipulated by local officials and that food distribution records were being falsified. Some food relief was being given to people not entitled to it, and some was being sold for gain at markets in the capital. According to the WFP, Mr. Beasley warned the Houthi authorities in Sanaa that unless they took immediate action to end the diversion of aid, the WFP would have no option but to cease working with those who have been conspiring to deprive large numbers of vulnerable people of the food on which they depend. Earlier on Monday, the Associated Press reported that factions and militias on all sides of the conflict had blocked food aid from going to groups suspected of disloyalty, diverted it to combat units, or sold it for profit. On 13 December, the rebels and Yemen's government agreed to a United Nations brokered ceasefire in the Kiryat seaport and city of Houthi, which is crucial for the delivery of aid supplies. On Saturday, the Houthis said it had withdrawn its fighters from the port and handed over control to the Coast Guard. But United Nations spokesman Staffan Dujarric questioned the claim, saying such steps could only be credible if all other parties could observe and verify them. Mr. Dujarric also said the Houthis had failed to honor an agreement to open a humanitarian corridor along the Houthi-Sanaa highway by Sunday. As agreed, a popular tourist attraction has become the latest Chinese company to show solidarity with Huawei's chief finance officer, Meng Wanzhou, who was arrested in Canada on 1 December. Shannon Mountain Scenic Park in eastern Hainan province said it would waive the $9.65 yuan ticket fee for anyone carrying a Huawei phone. Ms. Meng, who was given bail in Canada faces extradition to the United States on charges of breaking Iran sanctions. Her case has upped tensions with China. Use Huawei phones. Shoot grand photos on the mountain. A notice on the Shannon Park's social media account said, "We wish friends around the world who support Huawei's success and bliss." The offer would last until 29 December, the South China Morning Post reported. But it was met with some criticism among China's social media users, who claimed it was discriminatory. Huawei phone owners are being offered other enticements too. They can get a 20% discount at a bar in Beijing. Seen in Beijing, bring a Huawei phone and get 20% off. Similar to this story we covered yesterday, https://qxl19ypqlpic. Twitter.com Sokolov. End of Twitter post by @LuOceanG. At least one firm has threatened to penalize anyone buying Apple products. A few days ago, Manpada Shenzhen-based LED display manufacturer offered subsidies to any employees buying Huawei phones. It also pledged to fine anyone who bought an Apple iPhone. United States prosecutors alleged Ms. Man,
46,
used a Huawei subsidiary called Skycom to evade sanctions on Iran between 2009 and 2014. They also allege she publicly misrepresented Skycom as being a separate company from Huawei, and that she deceived banks about the true relationship between the two companies. Ms. Man, who is the daughter of Huawei's founder, has denied any wrongdoing and said she will contest the allegations. Life of Huawei's high-flying heiress. The United States has been investigating the Chinese telecoms giant, the world's second-largest smartphone maker, since 2016, believing that it used Skycom to bring United States manufacturing equipment and millions of dollars in transactions to Iran in violation of sanctions. Ms. Man's detention comes amid an increasingly acrimonious trade dispute between Washington and Beijing. China is angry at her detention, saying she has not violated any laws. Beijing has threatened severe consequences unless Canada releases the executive. Since her arrest, 2 Canadians, a former diplomat and a businessman, have been detained in China on suspicion of harming national security. United States President Donald Trump said last week that he might intervene in the United States Justice Department's case against Ms. Man if it would serve national security interests. I'll help achieve a trade deal with China if I think it's good for what will be certainly the largest trade deal ever made, which is a very important thing. What's good for national security? I would certainly intervene if I thought it was necessary, he told Reuters news agency. Canada reacted by urging Mr. Trump not to politicize the situation. Our extradition partners should not seek to politicize the extradition process or use it for ends other than the pursuit of justice, Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland said. A poacher has been ordered to watch the Disney film Bambi repeatedly after he was convicted of illegally killing hundreds of deer. Missouri hunter David Barry must view the film at least once a month during his year-long sentence. He was arrested in August along with 2 family members for killing the deer, taking their heads and leaving their bodies to rot. Prosecutors said it is reportedly one of the biggest poaching cases in Missouri history. On top of the jail sentence for the illegal deer hunting, Judge Robert George ordered Barry Jr. to view the Walt Disney movie Bambi, with the first viewing being on or before December 23,
2018,
and at least one such viewing each month thereafter. During his spell in prison, the 1942 cartoon about woodland creatures shows a hunt to kill the mother of eponymous deer character Bambi. A months-long investigation, spanning several states, led to the arrest of Barry Jr., his father David Barry, Sr., and his brother Kyle Barry, according to a local newspaper, the Springfield News Leader. While the total number of deer taken illegally is unknown, Lawrence County's conservation agent Tandy Barnes said it could be several hundred. Barry Jr. received a year-long sentence in Lawrence County Prison after pleading guilty to illegally taking wildlife.